Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited to see everyone in real life. We have missed you. I'm Laura Boudreau, the CEO of RMHC Bay Area. Thank you. This really is one of my favorite types of events because it's our opportunity to say thank you to all the people who let us do what we do. That's why we're here tonight. And before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank our hosts, Bob and Susan Kresick, for this spectacular setting. Thank you. And for this spectacular weather. Good job, Bob and Susan. Much appreciated. The reason I want to say thank you is, I've been thinking a lot about what we've done together over the years. We have built Ronald McDonald House at Stanford into one of the largest Ronald McDonald houses in the world. We did a merger in the Bay Area that has allowed us to strengthen our services and expand our reach. We have started providing services inside the hospital, which allows us to reach thousands of families that don't necessarily need a place to stay, but that desperately need the care and comfort of Ronald McDonald House. And together we weathered a pandemic for the last 2 years. We could not have done that without every person here tonight. We were able to pivot and to continue serving families without slowing down and without stepping back, because childhood illness just doesn't stop for a pandemic, and we had to be there for the kids and the families who needed us more than ever. And not only were we there for them, we actually expanded our services in the middle of a pandemic. We were able to launch a meal program in Oakland that really addressed food insecurity at Oakland Children's Hospital, which is so exciting that we were able to do that. And one other thing that I want to thank you for is giving us the foundation and the confidence to take our next step in our growth. This is not public information yet, but I am bursting to share, so I'm going to share. We are in the process of purchasing a small property right across the street from Oakland Children's Hospital, and we're about to have our very first Ronald McDonald House in the East Bay. And thank you. And I could not be more excited. And again, it's all of you that gave us that foundation and that confidence to be able to take our next step. You'll be hearing a lot more about this in the future. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you. We couldn't do what we do without you, and we're just so grateful. So with that, I want to turn it over to our dear friend, Karen Boyd. Many of you know Karen, but Karen is the founding partner of Boyd Turner. Turner Boyd. I'm giving you first. No, Boyd Turner. She is the former president of the RMHC board during the Stanford expansion and merger. And she is just a wonderful friend to the house and to us personally. So she's going to lead our amazing panel tonight. So Karen, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Bob and Susan, for hosting us this evening. I'm hearing my voice amplified, and it's like hearing your voice bounce back to you in a Zoom meeting. So what we wanted to do this evening is talk about philanthropy a little more generally. So everybody here is a reliable partner of the Ronald McDonald House and major donors to the Ronald McDonald House. And what we wanted to do is have a conversation with some of our partners with the Ronald McDonald House about philanthropy a little more generally. And so I'm going to ask each of two panelists to introduce themselves a little bit. And part of the introduction that I'll invite them to make is how they got involved in philanthropy generally and how they got involved with the Ronald McDonald House specifically. And I'd like to Just as a way of introducing myself, I'll share a little bit of my story as how I got involved in the Ronald McDonald House. So about 15 years ago, I was at a bit of an inflection point professionally. I was just about to start my firm, Turner Boyd, and had been working in a large law firm. That's what I do. That's my day job. I'm a patent litigator. So if any of you have been sued for patent infringement, let me know. I'm there for you. But I've sort of established in my career at that point, and I was looking for a way to be more involved and more connected to my community, and was looking for a place that I could volunteer, a place that I could sort of focus my fundraising and my donors. I was one of these people that wrote a lot of checks for $100 to a lot of different places because somebody was running a marathon or somebody was doing something. And as I was going through this sort of thinking, the Ronald McDonald House, the universe was telling me the Ronald McDonald House was where I needed to focus my energy. I had people from 3 very different parts of my life, all who I found out in that very short period of time that they were all involved in the Ronald McDonald House. So that is how I initially got involved. The universe told me to be involved. And I have a son who's now 27, and when he was 7 years old, he was hospitalized at the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital for a very short period of time, thankfully. I live in Palo Alto on Stanford Avenue. I can walk to the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital quite easily. I am as close as you can get without living on campus, and that was too far away. And so that's what that personal experience plus the universe, that's what made me want to come and be part of this organization and support this organization. And Tad, I would love if you would introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved in the Ronald McDonald House.
Well, thank you very much, Karen. Probably my story is similar to many stories in philanthropy. But before I get into my story, I want to congratulate Laura on doing a really great job of managing the Ronald McDonald House. And I want to thank our hosts, the Bob and Sue Kresick, I guess is the am I pronouncing that correctly? I don't want to screw up your name. Everybody screws up my name. So the question is, if you're a philanthropist or you're involved with money, money's a great magnet. You know, it has so many different fans, people that, you know, either like to talk about it, they like to earn it, they like to give it away, they like to hoard it, you know, so I guess what I'd like to focus on in terms of my story is I want to keep it real simple. I'm Jewish, and so it's a very great tradition among the Jewish people to, you know, to help our neighbors, to essentially share the good parts of our lives. And I was fortunate to be raised by a mother and father that had a very strong commitment to helping people. So I kind of grew up with it. Now, growing up with it doesn't make a philanthropist, because there's one other component that is necessary, and you know that's called money. You can't be a very effective philanthropist if you don't have any shekels. So I'm an entrepreneur. Actually, in terms of my titles, I think it would be more appropriate for me to refer to myself as an entrepreneur, because I've spent a great deal of my life in terms of successfully being able to raise some money, and I've taken a lot of chances to do it. You know, you don't make money without taking chances. I don't know if some of you may have been watching your television, and there's the playoff this weekend of the United States Football League Championship, and one of my entrepreneurial adventures with being an owner of the Oakland Invaders of the USFL. And so I was on the phone this morning with like 10 other owners because we feel like we've been screwed. If you want to know the truth, we did it. We developed a league. We developed our logos. We developed the names of our teams, and they were all stolen from us by Fox. So clearly, we wanted to see what we could do about it. And so this morning, we had a meeting with our lawyers, and it looks like there's going to be some kind of a settlement involving a recognition of who it was that was really responsible for the USFL. It certainly wasn't Fox. But I could get in real trouble by pursuing that line of conversation. So I'm going to
and you never get in trouble.
Well, thank you.
You are on video. It's being taped.
Appreciate you recognizing that. Trouble is sort of my middle name, if you want to know the truth. But being in trouble is a badge of honor in a way, because being in trouble means that you're taking chances. And I'm not suggesting you should take stupid chances, but I think people that have successful careers, if you look at the Ronald McDonald House now with the late John Arriaga having financed the easterly wing of the. I had to think about that for a minute. John financed
The one closer to the railroad tracks, right?
Yes. I give that to John. John's a good friend, or was a good friend, and I learned a lot from him. And we were fortunate to arrive at a opportunity to finance the westerly pavilion, or the westerly wing of the Ronald McDonald House. So how did we come to do that? Well, I said that philanthropy requires the opportunity. It requires financial capability, and it also requires, the stars aligning to make the things that you want to do or that you think you want to do work. So the stars did align for us in terms of the Taube.
Taube Family Center.
Thank you, the Taube Family Center. Why couldn't I remember that? Taube Family Center, which is approximately half, I guess, of the rooms in the Ronald McDonald House. But there's another thing about Ronald McDonald that is, I think, particularly dear to me, and that's the children. And I say that because I'm a father of 6 children, ranging in age from 18 to 64. We'll get into that in a minute. Not one mother. So
remember, you're on tape.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm being very gracious to all my wives, and so consequently, I've always been around children. I never had a sibling. My would-be sibling, which was born when I was about 5 years old, was stillborn, if you know what that is. Mm-hmm. In other words, did not survive the birth process. Today, that might have been interpreted differently, but at that time, the memory I had is of the what they call the people that deliver.
A midwife or
the midwife. My memory is of the midwife carrying the stillborn child, It was quite a distressing memory on my part. But that's not the memory that I'm focused on. I'm focused on children, my own and other people's children. I think living in the United States of America, I forgot to mention I'm an immigrant. I was born in Eastern Europe and survived the Holocaust, which, as you all know, is something that one of the really horrendous events in human history. And I think the Holocaust also influenced my philanthropy, because here's a kid growing up. I was 8 years old when I learned of what was going on in Poland, and it certainly was a horrible, horrible experience that took a very large portion of my family. And I would say that certainly, I'm not recommending, by the way, that people should be a product of a Holocaust in order to be philanthropists. But it certainly is a lesson that teaches us to be grateful for our survival. So I've been grateful that I survived. And I'm very, very oriented towards survival as a citizen of this country. I hope that we as a United States of America overcome some of the shit that's going on in our country, if you don't mind my saying so, and survive. And I think that part of that, obviously, is providing lessons for our children as to what's important. What's important. So what is important? Important is taking care of your fellow man, or fellow woman. Being philanthropic is not a badge of honor, it's a responsibility. And I feel that responsibility probably to a greater extent than a lot of people. But I'm a spokesperson for expanding the culture of philanthropy. I think it's something that those of us that are involved in it, and you're going to hear a couple more people after me. They're not as good as I am, but they're going to tell you about their experiences. And that's not really quite true about my good friend John Sobrato, who has been a wonderful, wonderful philanthropist. Not only things that he does for the Sobrato family, but also his contributions to the Taube family philanthropy as well. I'm here really to do a pitch. So, all of this that you've been listening to, all these wonderful things and responsibilities and Holocaust and et cetera, is really my way of leading to my main subject, is that we have an organization, the Ronald McDonald House, that is really something extraordinarily special. It's something that tugs at your heartstrings. It makes you a partner with kids that are going through some horrible, horrible times in their lives, and makes you a partner with the parents that have a place to come to stay with their children while children are waiting to get care at probably not too seldom at the adjacent Taube family wing of the Children's Hospital at Stanford. Notice how I snuck that in? Also, I might add that there's also the John and Sue Sobrato wing of the Children's Hospital. And John was actually my role model in showing me what he was doing, and I thought it was a hell of a job. And so I decided to emulate what he was doing. And my wife Diane and I, who unfortunately can't be here today, we decided to support the Stanford Hospital. So once you get involved with the hospital, it follows that you're going to be involved. Where do the children come from? Well, many of the children come from Ronald McDonald House. And so we have the honor, if you will, of providing a conduit for the children that are in horrible straits. I mean, some of these kids really are, it's a tearjerker as to what these kids are going through with the various struggles to survive. And the parents that, that want to be with their children during the time when the children are waiting to be admitted to presumably either Stanford Children's Hospital or some other facility of a like nature. So, having now covered the entire waterfront, I hope that my experience, which by the way has been really gratifying, is something that will stir the people that are here with us to become our partners in Ronald McDonald House. We heard a little earlier from Laura that apparently there's another house in process in Oakland, across from the Children's Hospital there. And I'm very involved with Oakland because I lost a lot of money there. But we are going to have a wonderful facility there, and it's a great opportunity for us. Yeah, we're going to need money to buy that house.
I suspect there are naming opportunities available.
Well, don't get greedy. I mean, I'm trying to raise enough money just to buy the house. How much do we need to buy the house?
I don't know.
I don't
know. We'll get some details. 1.8.
1.8 million? All right. So I'd love to see the hands of people that would like to contribute to that. Come on.
All right. What?
Come on. Wonderful.
All right.
You got a pencil?
Write some names down.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I appreciate your courtesy. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. I know that you all have the greatest, warmest feelings for this wonderful charitable organization. And by the way, the incredible leadership that we now have, with what you're doing, and with what with our new CEO, and with Bob, and with all of the other people that are in the leadership of providing support for this organization. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. God bless you all. And let's do it to them before they do it to us.
Thank you, Tad. So I wanted to pick up on something that you said as I turn it over to Sally. Shekels. Like, in order to be a philanthropist, you need some shekels. But I think we live in a place of extraordinary wealth. The Silicon Valley has built wealth in a way that very few places on this planet have. And I think that can mean for a lot of sort of, I think I put it to Jay earlier today, our sort of normal rich people. My husband's a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. We do well.
Normally rich.
But we are not the kind of rich that Silicon Valley can build. And that doesn't mean that we can't have philanthropy be an important part of our lives and an important part of our legacy and an important part of the way that we raise our children. And we are incredibly fortunate, and I think it's easy to lose track of the incredible fortune that so many of us have when we are with the Google bajillionaires and the real estate bajillionaires and the everybody in this area. So I think Sally and I are more of the, we're not the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. We are, but we've got some shekels. So Sally, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your thinking about philanthropy and your involvement?
About your comment.
Sure.
The really regrettable part is how many very wealthy people don't do a friggin' thing. You know, it's, yeah, there's a huge amount of wealth, but there's a huge amount of
Greed. Sorry.
huge amount of running away from doing anything with it. So anyway, I'm sorry. I just thought I'd clarify that. Go ahead.
All right.
All right. Well, so Tad's a tough act to follow here, but I have to be honest. So I'm Sally Duplantier. My husband is Robert. He's not here with us tonight, but he's here with us in spirit. And we have 2 grown sons. So we have boys who are in their 30s. And you know, when Jay invited me to be on this panel as a philanthropist, and I saw that I was with Tad and with John, I'm like, oh no, I think you picked the wrong person, because I'm just not in the same like stratosphere financially. But you know, similar to Karen, we've had an amazing life. Like Tad, I've been an entrepreneur all of my life. And there is an opportunity for myself and Rob to not only make a difference and have an impact on the lives of children and their families here through the Ronald McDonald House, but also to teach a really important message to our sons. And so just as a little background, I have about 30 years of corporate experience. I created my first startup at 28. I sold that. I've retired twice. I'm in my 3rd act professionally. And now what I focus on is helping older adults increase health span, which is the number of years that we can live without chronic disease or disability. And I just earned a Master's of Science in Gerontology. I'm graduating next week from USC. Thank you. And it's 45 years after I got my bachelor's degree. The way we got introduced through the Ronald McDonald House, and I say introduced, like growing up, you always knew about the Ronald McDonald House. You knew about Ronald McDonald. But it was through Judy Kirkpatrick, who's a former board member and a longtime friend of mine. And she was talking not only about the work that she was doing with Ronald McDonald House, but what she was teaching her kids. And my husband and I thought, wow, that is so important. That's so profound. So my financial advisor and I sat down with Jay. We had a great lunch. And then Rob and I toured the house, and we really started to get to know it. And I think my big takeaway was that, you know, growing up, I always thought about the Ronald McDonald House as a hotel for parents who had sick kids. And it is so much more. It is a community of love and support and services and caring for entire families, for the siblings of these sick kids, for moms and dads. And, you know, it's a haven, it's a community. So we became beyond 10 donors. We also do a legacy gift through our estate plan. And I'm happy to say we volunteered a number of times for the Megabytes, the dinner, the meal preparation, where I've gotten to know some of these families firsthand.
Thank you, Sally. And that's a great program, and I just learned it's coming back. So post-COVID, Megabytes is coming back, so you can look for opportunities to volunteer for that. So we were supposed to have a 3rd panelist with us today, John Sobrato. He unfortunately tested positive for COVID just this morning. So being the agile people that we are, and things were moved around and arrangements were made, we have a short video message from John that I hope people can see it if the sun is not too glary, but if you can try and put yourself someplace where you can see it, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it. Go ahead and hit play. Thanks, Nicole.
Let me start it off. I'm Bob McIntyre, board member of the Ronald McDonald House, and I have the pleasure of interviewing John Sobrato, who is chairman of the Sobrato organization, and is unable to join us at the live event tonight because he has just been diagnosed with his home test kit of coming down with COVID. So, John, why don't you finish the introduction and tell us a little bit more about yourself, and first of all, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm actually feeling pretty good. My voice doesn't sound that great, but I was coughing a lot more last night, so I just was supposed to go to Fiji in the morning, so I told all our guests to be tested. And unfortunately, I was one of all the 9 guests that tested positive. So we had to cancel the trip.
Please tell us about how you became involved with the Ronald McDonald House as both an annual donor as well as a legacy donor.
Well, I think it started with my mother back probably 35 years ago. She sponsored a room at the Packard Hospital. And obviously, that relationship, I think, morphed into our interest in the Ronald McDonald House. One of the results of my mother's endowment that she placed over there at the Ronald McDonald House, I think, I hate to throw numbers around, but give you an idea how endowment grows when it's properly managed. The original endowment was like $500,000. And I just got a report from the Packard Foundation, and it's now worth $4.5 million. I mean, and that's pretty amazing. When you have professional management like the Stanford Management Company that can take your smaller gift and just do a good job managing it, it just over time grows dramatically. And so that's why we like to endow institutions like the Ronald McDonald House so they have long-term sustainability.
John, the Ronald McDonald House just celebrated its 43rd birthday, and we're thrilled to be seeing more second-generation supporters. How have you passed on the philanthropic values to your children and grandchildren?
Well, what we've done is when we set up trusts for our grandchildren, and when they get a certain disbursement of that trust, and it starts smaller. They get a small amount at age 25, another amount at 30, 35, 40 over the years. And it grows every 5 years. In order to tap that money, and they can use it for whatever needs they think is worthwhile, they have to give half of it to charity of their choice. We don't dictate where it goes. And that just gets them started at a pretty young age, getting used to writing checks to good philanthropic endeavors. And so we all have our favorites, and Ronald McDonald House is certainly one of mine. I think our daughters are also involved with Ronald McDonald House. It's a great organization, and I'm glad to be a part of your event this evening. I'm just sorry I can't be there in person.
You've been involved in philanthropy for a good while and have been a very important philanthropist to a broad number of causes, including the Ronald McDonald House. What are you hoping your philanthropic legacy will be?
Well, Bob, as you know, we built a lot of office buildings over the years. But I think our family's probably going to be remembered are for those institutions that bear the Sobrato name. The Packard Hospital, the El Camino Hospital, the Valley Medical Center Hospital, for example. A lot of educational institutions that we've funded major buildings for. And we hope that, our sponsorship will encourage other philanthropists to do likewise. So, call that a legacy, if you will, perhaps. I think I believe our foundation is going to certainly outlast my lifetime and my children's lifetime. We've set up a spend down period of like 60 years that, our legacy will be all the good work that our partners here in Silicon Valley and across the world do for the folks that don't have the means to take care of themselves.
John, our last question is, what would you say to the folks here tonight or others that see a video that are interested in the Ronald McDonald House? What would you say to the supporters who are considering a legacy gift? And what has it meant to you to know you'll be helping children many, many years from now?
Well, I think it's important to have a really, really capable executive director of any organization. And I know that when you're out hiring a top executive director, they look hard at the endowment level that's in the bank, if you will. So they know that, in an economic downturn, like people are predicting a few years from now, there'll be sufficient funds to make sure that the organization can continue on a good path. So the endowment is important to hire good people. And of course, it's important to make sure that the organization continues year after year after year, regardless of the economic conditions. Because if you have to raise money for operational support annually, that goes up and down depending on the economy. And it's really nice to have an endowment like the one that I mentioned that my mother set up at Packard years ago. And obviously, the Packard Foundation is worth billions of dollars now, but way back then, it was a little different story.
Bob, thank you for doing that interview.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, and we'll write notes of thanks to John for his remarks, and wish him a speedy recovery. So I have a follow-up question for Sally, and actually I'm going to try and keep one eye over here. If there are, we'd love to have sort of a conversation. So any questions or comments, wave a hand, and I'll try and make sure to see you. But I wanted to ask Sally. The question I had written was that it's your life's work about wellness and healthy aging. It sounds to me that actually you've had several life's works, but your current life's work is about wellness and healthy aging and lifelong learning. And congratulations on your master's degree. That's very exciting. What role do you see philanthropy having in that in that way of thinking?
So it's an interesting question, Karen, and I think this is probably just because I've been in grad school. Everything to me is research based. So there is a lot of research that shows the connection between giving and physical and mental health. And so I'll bet all of you who are here, that it's called the helper's high. When you give to someone, when you're kind to someone, when you do something out of the goodness of your heart to help people, it feels good, doesn't it? But there's a physiological reason for that. It increases hormone levels of serotonin and oxytocin, which are our feel-good hormones. But it also increases levels of dopamine, and dopamine is tied to the reward center. So there's a physiological reason why giving feels good. It also increases self-esteem. But there are physical benefits as well. So true giving from the heart, not because of a tax deduction, studies show that it will lower blood pressure. It will decrease levels of cortisol, which are tied to stress. So, on an individual basis, giving is good for our health, but I think we need to think more broadly that giving is also good for the community health, because by us donating, and all of you who are here today, we actually help Jay and Laura and their teams give to other people. We help parents give to their children. And so it's this multiplier health effect, which I think is really powerful.
That's awesome. I had no idea that there's physiological research about
lots
this.
of research.
Yeah,
Karen, don't get me started.
I was a molecular biologist before I became a lawyer, so you and I can nerd out on the medical research for sure.
You've had a few acts,
yeah,
too, huh?
Something like that. So Tad, we saw these wonderful remarks from John. I had before I found out he wouldn't be here today. I had done some reading of a few things from John Sobrato, and I understand from something that I read that he persuaded you to join him in signing the Giving Pledge, or was it the other way around?
I don't really remember which one of us persuaded the other.
But you talked about it. Can you tell us what the Giving Pledge is briefly?
Yeah. I think everybody here kind of knows what the Giving Pledge is. There was an idea that was developed by Bill Gates and by his relationship with
Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett, that would encourage people to give away half their assets during their lifetime. And so they, in effect, went on a organizational binge, if you will, and started recruiting every wealthy person that they knew, and some that weren't so wealthy, to commit to giving away half of your fortune, during your lifetime. Hell of an idea.
I understand that John's response was initially, well, no, I'm going to give my whole fortune away, so I'm not right for the giving pledge. It's not just half. It's going to be all of it. And they said that's all right, too. So.
Well, I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think when people commit to giving half of their fortune away, they already have given half of it away. I mean, people like Sobrato and myself and others, Arriaga, have already given more than half of their fortune away before they signed the pledge. I don't.
So how do you decide? I'm just gonna. Sorry for interrupting, but how do you decide what organizations and what causes to support with your? What did you say? Money is a magnet. You must get approached all the time, and you have a huge wide range of organizations and projects that you've done. How do you make those decisions?
It's probably the hardest decision there is for a philanthropist. Is where do you write the checks to? I think most of us that are involved in this process are besieged with requests coming at us from all directions to write checks. I think that I'm going to give you a number. I don't want you to hold me to it, but it's got to be close. I think I'm personally asked on a monthly basis to give away something on the order of $40 or $50 million. So
eventually, that's real money.
That doesn't mean that I do it, but I have that as a request. That's the one question that's very hard for a philanthropist to answer. Like, what is it? How do you decide where to give the money? So I'm just going to give you a couple of ideas on that. Number one, most of us that are in philanthropy don't want to give the money unless we know it's going to do some good. So I would say that the first precondition of making the gift of a philanthropic dollar would be the determination in advance that the money is going to make a difference. If the money doesn't make a difference, there's really no point in giving it. So that's number one. Number two, generally speaking, we like to have partners. We do a very large amount of our gifts on a collaborative basis. What's a collaborative gift? I might go to a guy like John Sobrato and I might say, John, we're going to give money to the hospital in Palo Alto. And it's going to require $10 million. We'll put in 5 if you put in 5. And that form of collaborative philanthropy is really the cornerstone of what we do. That's how I would say that probably more than half of our philanthropic dollars are collaborative, where we have partners that come in with us and we respond. I mean, if people here, for example, if you've been approached to make a certain gift and you feel like you'd like to support the organization, but you don't have the wherewithal to bite off the whole chunk, contact me, contact Sobrato, contact any of the organizations that that actually do collaborative funding. It's a very powerful, philanthropic tool, because what it does is it magnifies the amount of money that you're able to control and to give, and it also serves to increase the capability of funding a project. If there's a project that comes across my desk that is any number you want to mention, the project comes across my desk that is a $20 million project, and I have interest in it, but I don't have $20 million. I might do one of two things. I might tell the organization, look, we'll do a match. You go out and raise 10 million and we'll match it. That's one form of collaborative funding. Or what we'll do is we will go out and elicit a match from the community for a particular project. So there are a lot of different ways to magnify the dollars that you have. You know, people feel sometimes intimidated by the volume of philanthropic requests that you get. I used to feel intimidated until I realized that if I don't have it, I don't have it. But I know that I can utilize certain expedients to get it. And, I hope that not everybody here decides to send me a letter tomorrow.
Spread it out over the weekend.
But it is a form of philanthropy that I'm very, very comfortable with. Love to do it. It's a very good thing for the recipients of philanthropy because it magnifies the impact. And ultimately, it's all about impact. If you don't have impact, don't bother.
So, was there a hand? I thought I saw, no. Well, I want to talk about so collaborative philanthropy being one sort of version of, or one tool that you have in philanthropic efforts. I want to also talk about legacy giving and, having in your estate plan, what is your philanthropic plan in that estate plan, which is another tool that, at every level of financial wherewithal, we should all have estate plans, and that's something that we can have thought through in those estate plans is our philanthropy. Sally, you mentioned estate planning a bit, and I wonder if you would comment on what would you say to somebody starting to think about how do I address philanthropy in those plans?
It's interesting that you asked that. We actually did our legacy gift for the Ronald McDonald House first, and then we became a Beyond 10 donor. And I think, kind of given my my interest in, live your best life longer and healthy aging, I thought, wow, they're going to have to wait a long time for this money.
Yeah.
So we decided to make a difference, kind of during our lifetime. But, I think what prompted this idea of a legacy gift is that my husband and I just sat down and kind of to Ted's point, what is the impact that we want to have? We have two sons. Warren Buffett said, leave your children enough money so they can do everything they want, but not so they can do nothing. Our philosophy was a little different. Ours was like, yeah, we want our sons to do most everything they want, but we still want them to work. I mean, we do. That's really important. And so our sons are taken care of, but we also want to make a difference with the money that we have. And I mean, trust me, Ted, what we have and what you have, nobody is asking me for $40 million a month. I don't even know what that's like. But it is enough to make a difference. And, we've shared this with the boys, not in great detail, but, one of the things in our estate plan, similar to what John mentioned, is that the boys, in order to get their inheritance, have to give some of it away, and every Christmas in lieu of gifts, they choose toys and things for the Ronald McDonald House for the care and giving drive, and then they have to write out a card explaining what did they buy and why. So again, I think part of it is what are we trying to teach our children, and what is the impact that we want to have. And finally, I think part of the reason that Ronald McDonald House is one of those recipients is because here's an opportunity to see so directly the impact that we can make on lives. And it's an extraordinarily well-run organization. We have so much faith in the leadership. So we do know that the money is going to be handled well.
I think there's a little bit of confusion, though, about what a legacy gift is. As far as I'm concerned, any gift that is activated through an estate plan is a legacy gift. But, the legacy gift in turn can take many different forms. You can have legacy gifts that are term endowments, for example. One of the things that we've tried to do is discourage endowments. Endowments are, and I don't want to talk against endowments, because any of you want to write an endowment check, you go ahead. But endowments are a very, very expensive way to give away money. If you stop and think about it, if you make a let's just say $1 million endowment gift, that means that the $1 million is going to be given away over the life of whatever lifetime period you stipulate. Usually it's lifetime. And $1 million endowment gift might produce $50,000 a year. That's very expensive philanthropy. So what we've been doing is we've been giving term endowments. So for example, let's just say that we want to give away $50,000 a year, the same 50 that we would do with a full endowment. If you did that over, let's say, a 10-year period, given the time value of money and interest and so forth, you could do a $50,000 a year term endowment for a fraction of what it would cost to give a total endowment of $1 million. You just go to your interest tables.
So lots of strategies. So go ahead.
Strategies are really very, very important in terms of giving money, because you want your money to have the maximum impact. Impact is what it's all about. If you give somebody $1 million endowment, the impact is $50,000 a year, not much. If you give them a term endowment over 10 years, then the same $50,000, might be achievable with $400,000, including interest, of course.
Yeah.
So,
and the smart management that I think John was mentioning. So I'm actually feeling the weather shift, like as we're talking. So I wonder, we probably can kind of wrap it up with, are there any questions for either Sally or Tad? And if anyone wants to ask John a question, maybe Bob can channel what he thinks John would have said.
What would John say?
Yeah, what would John say? Yeah. Are there any questions? Any comments?
come on. You
Come on, you got it.
You got to have questions.
Yeah.
Someone talked about the Oakland, the acquisition, what that's going to be like, and what the cost is beyond the acquisition cost, and what it's going to do.
The Oakland property is a 100-year-old main building on 3 levels, plus a cottage in the rear on a very short street named West Street, which is right adjacent to MLK, exactly across the street from the Oakland Children's Hospital. The property is about 100 years old, and a developer has been renovating it for the last year and a half. We're buying it in a almost turnover condition. The front building, the main building, has 3 levels. It has a below-grade basement that has a concrete slab and studs, but is not finished off. The first floor is going to be really provide the administration and staff space to manage the facility, because the house under its charter needs to have 24/7 staff there to deal with people that have any given issues. Then there's an apartment on top. The basement apartment can really house 2 families, and the cottage in the back is on 2 levels, and there's 2 apartments there. So in total, there's 4 apartments that can house 6 different families plus some administrative space. We're under contract to purchase the property for $1.8 million, but we located it and used the assistance of a local real estate broker who said, I will waive my 3% commission. So our net price is really $1.75 million. The budget to bring the house up to the standard, to finish the basement, then the space in between the 2 buildings right now is just dirt, and the driveway needs to be redone over. So we have to do landscape and hardscape, finish the basement, and then put in some RMH specific use items. The budget for all of that is about $250,000. So the 1.8 less the 50,000 plus 250 is what the approximate all-in budget. We've engaged the team that we used to build the ground-up Arriaga house and renovate the Taube family house on Sand Hill Road. That team is Vance Brown Inc. for the contractor, and working with Jim Sunsuri of KSH, a local major architectural firm.
Right. Thanks, Bob.
So what do you need, Bob?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. What do you need?
Yes, shekels.
Well, you can't leave us there. You gotta, come on, close.
Well, the purchase price is it'll be $2 million all in. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to hire staff there. We're going to have programming. Their biggest need at Oakland Children's Hospital right now is for bone marrow stem cell transplant patients. They have a huge need for that. So we're going to support those families. We're going to do sibling programming. And we're going to continue doing the daily meal program, which has been so well received. So our annual operating expense will be around $500,000 a year. So our overall expense is going up substantially. And obviously our capital expense is going to be about $2 million. So it wasn't our intent tonight to be asking you for money, but it is something that we will be, starting a small campaign around this, and we would love to have anyone here participating. We will have naming opportunities and lots of opportunities to support and also to build connections in the East Bay. It's a new community for us, and so we would also ask that anyone that has connections in the East Bay, Tad just agreed to introduce me to Libby Schaff earlier tonight, the mayor of Oakland. So any of those kind of connections are also hugely, hugely important for us. So I look forward to talking to all of you about how you can get involved with us.
Excellent. Well, I think I am, first of all, thank you so much to our live panelists. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. And I am now going to suggest that Sally and I scooch off to the side, and I'm going to invite Bob McIntyre up. I believe you have some business to do with Tad.
He does.
Yes, he does. This is what I am told.
Thank you,
So,
Karen. And thank you, Bob and
Thanks,
Susan,
Karen.
for hosting.
all right, thank you, Tad.
Thanks, honey. Good job.
Thank you so much to Karen and Sally. Job well done. I'm speaking to everyone tonight in order to announce that we're giving our Most Valuable Player Award to Tad Taube. It's called the Big Shoe Award for his it's kind of a lifetime achievement award for everything that Tad has done for the house. The award is our largest one that we can bestow upon anyone. It's given for someone who's instrumental in making the organization fulfill its mission. And Tad has done that at the highest level. Some of the previous recipients include John Sobrato and our good late friend, Brad Lyman. The Big Shoe recipient is from the year of 2020, but we held off because we couldn't have a face-to-face event and couldn't say thank you to Tad in front of him and in front of an audience. So we've deferred the giving of this award until tonight. Tad got involved with the Ronald McDonald House Bay Area as a major donor in the 90s and has been continually and consistently helping support the mission of the organization, championing our mission to other philanthropists and foundations around the Bay Area. In 2015, as we were working to raise the money to build the new ground-up house and renovate the adjacent existing house, Tad helped us secure a $1 million gift from a local foundation to help fund the expansion. He then followed that up with not one, but two substantial personal gifts to the campaign, helping us open what was then the largest Ronald McDonald House in the world. In 2020, Tad made a pledge for a legacy gift along the lines that he described in his presentation tonight. He's continued to open doors for the house about our mission. He's utilized his charm, his personality, and his unwillingness to take no for an answer and help us achieve what we've done so far. So with an enormous pride and with friendship for my friend Tad, we want to present him with the Big Shoe Award.
Wow. Well, I have to be able to stand up to receive it. The big shoe.
Big red shoe.
Yeah, see? Well, Bob, let me just say a couple words. I think that this is a very valuable recognition. I would have done it all without it, but it's a wonderful organization. I'm very proud to be a major donor to Ronald McDonald. I'm hopeful that I can lead by example. A lot of other examples that I have thrown out there to the community are not universally loved, but this is a very special award, and thank you, Bob. It's very nice. And let me put it somewhere people can see it, and then of course I'll take it home, maybe on this table here.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yes, sir.
Can we get a quick photo?
Yeah. Bob?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tad, our Big Shoe Award winner for 2020.
Well, thank you, Bob.
Well, thank you, everyone. As we wrap up, I just wanted to say one more thank you to Bob and Susan, our wonderful hosts. We're so grateful for your having us here tonight and for the spectacular. I'm going to let you hold it. It's very heavy. We have a little gift for you. Thank you. We usually get people wine, but we figured for you, we're getting you some olive oils and some vinegars and some things to cook with because we know you're wonderful cooks. So thank you again for your support. Thank you all for being here, and please enjoy the lovely evening and the food and drinks. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
The red wine that we were serving was the 2019 vintage from Merlot that's grown in the vineyard here. It's produced by La Honda Winery in Redwood City. They manage about 30 vineyards up and down the peninsula here. And then for each household here tonight, before you leave, there's a little gift bag of the 2020 vintage Merlot. So you can take that with you and try that out. Thank you for coming. And there's a lot more wine and other things here too, so don't leave.
Don't leave yet.
And when you do exit, we're going to exit through these doors here, and that's where the wine and the goodie bags are going to be. And valet. Thank you.